Social science. Meaning, scope, and importance. Meaning of social science. Human beings are social by nature. From birth, each person becomes part of a family and gradually becomes connected to wider groups such as neighbors, classmates, friends, and co workers. People live in villages, towns, and cities where they depend on one another for safety, livelihood, learning, and well being. They share public spaces and resources such as water, roads, schools, hospitals, markets, parks, and workplaces. They also share ideas, customs, languages, beliefs, and responsibilities. Because life is shared together, the actions of one person can affect many others. Social science is the study of these connections and shared arrangements. Social science, key definitions by scholars and authors. James High defined it as a body of learning and study which recognizes the simulations and mutual action of physical and non-physical stimuli which produce social relation. Charles Beard described it as a body of knowledge and thought pertaining to human affairs as distinguished from sticks, stones, stars, and physical objects. Social science studies society in a careful, organized, and systematic way. It does not rely on other personal opinions or assumptions. It also takes questions, collects information, compares evidence, and builds explanations. It helps us to understand how people live together, how groups are formed, how rules and institutions develop, and how societies change over time. It also encourages us to think about the fairness and responsibility by examining who gains from a decision, who loses, and why. Social science can be understood as the study of two closely related aspects of human life: people and their relationships. This includes the ways in which people interact and support one another in everyday life. It covers family life, community living, social customs, religions, and cultural practices, roles and responsibilities, and patterns of behavior. For example, social science may explore how families make decisions, how communities celebrate festivals, how different languages are used in public life, or how social rules influence what people can or cannot do. Systems and institutions. This includes organized structures that shape how the society works. Institutions such as the government, laws, courts, schools, police, and markets, and local bodies influence daily life. They decide how resources are shared, how public services are provided, and how rights and duties are protected. For example, social science may study how elections are held, how laws are made, how budgets affect public services, or how trades and prices influence what families can afford. Social science does not only describe what happens in the society, it also asks why it happens and what effects are. It also looks for causes and the consequences. It tries to understand patterns, such as why some regions develop faster than the others, why some communities have better access to clean water, or why certain forms of work are more valued than others. Consider a situation where some children find it easier to complete schooling than others. Social science encourages us to ask questions such as: are schools located far from certain villages or settlements? Do families have enough income to afford uniforms, books, and transport? The historical disadvantages or social discrimination affect people's opportunities in education, employment, and social mobility? Do government policies support all of us equally, including girls and children with disabilities? These questions show that social situations usually have more than one cause. A single issue can have geographical, economic, political, and historical reasons at the same time. Social science helps us to connect these reasons and develop a fuller understanding. By studying social science, we begin to see that the society is not fixed. It is shaped by human choices and actions. People create rules, institutions, and traditions, and people can also improve them. This understanding supports responsible citizenship. It also helps us to develop awareness about society and prepares them to make informed decisions in their daily lives. Scope of social science. The scope of social science refers to the wide range of questions and areas it studies in order to understand human life in society. Human beings live in communities, depend on nature and resources, earn livelihoods, follow rules, and participate in collective decision making. Because these aspects of life are closely monitored, no single subject can fully explain society fully. Social science therefore brings together several disciplines to build a fuller picture of society and help us to understand the world carefully and responsibly. At the school level, social science is commonly organized around four core disciplines: geography, political science, history, and economics. These disciplines have distinct questions and methods, yet they overlap in real life. Social science becomes meaningful when we connect ideas across these ideas and use evidence to understand society, environment, economy, and governance together. Geography as a discipline. Geography studies the earth as the home of human beings. It helps us understand landforms, climates, rivers, soils, and forests. At the same time, it studies how people live in different places and how they use the environment. Geography answers questions such as: why do some places receive more rainfall than the others? Why are some regions densely populated while others are not? How do climate and soil influence agriculture? How do natural resources affect industries and livelihoods? Geography helps us see that human life is closely linked to physical conditions. For example, farming practices in a dry region differ from those in a region with heavy rainfall. Similarly, coastal regions may have fishing and sea trade, while mountain regions may depend on tourism, forest, or terrace farming. Geography also helps us understand environmental changes such as flood, droughts, deforestation, pollution, and climate related risks. It encourages the value of sustainability because it shows that the careless use of resources can harm both the people and nature. History as a discipline. History studies the past, but its purpose is not only to remember the dates or kings. It helps us understand how society has changed over time and why the present is shaped the way it is. History explores people and their lives in different periods, social and cultural developments, major events and changes, movements for freedom and justice, the rise and fall of institutions and ideas. History is important because it helps us understand that today's society did not appear suddenly. Many present day institutions and practices have been developed over long periods. For example, when we study India's freedom struggle, we learn about the ideas of justice, equality, and rights. These ideas later influenced the making of our constitution. In this way, history helps us understand why democratic values are important in modern India. History also teaches us to respect diversity. India's past include many languages, religions, art forms, and ways of living. By studying this richness, we can learn that diversity is not a weakness, it is a strength that has shaped Indian society.